Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
Get it to you.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you not a big DJ Khaled guy?
Hansbrough up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pastor.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal. Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jerel McNeal.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Hello, and welcome in to another episode of Field of 68 After Dark. It is February 1st, 2024. We're already through the month of January, and we are on to February, getting closer and closer to tournament time. Was not a super packed slate tonight, but there was a very good game in the Big Ten as Nebraska comes back from down 19 at home to get the win in overtime over number 6 ranked Wisconsin. We're going to get into that here momentarily and break down Nebraska's resume, which continues to get better by the day. I'm John Martin, hosting tonight with my guys Tyler Hansbrough and Jerel McNeal. We're going to get into the collapse that's taken place in Memphis 16 days ago, number 10 in the country, now probably out of the tournament. It's a packed slate this weekend, so we'll get into all of that and more today on the show. But, fellas, let's start with this win, this epic comeback by Nebraska to beat Wisconsin. Nebraska became the first team to come back against Wisconsin trailing by 15 points or more at half this century. Wisconsin was 120-0 when leading by 15-plus points at half. Now 120-1. Tyler, we'll start with you, man. I don't know if you ever trailed by 15 at the half, but if you're Nebraska in that spot and you're getting smacked around at home, what's being said and what has to happen to claw back into that game?
Well, there's an old saying, early leads never last. And Frank Vogel, actually, when I played for him in Indiana, he used to say that to us a lot. So I've experienced being down by much more than 15 at half. But I will say, Nebraska, you've got to give them credit. They stayed with it. They stayed with their game plan. And then C.J. Welcher came off the bench and just lit them up in the second half. And that's really what you need to make these big comebacks. You need somebody to go off and have a big night because obviously they were in the hole. And, this is a huge win for Nebraska because I consider Wisconsin a very good quality team. I think they've kind of been a big surprise throughout college basketball this year. And so I actually thought the game was over heading into half. And so Nebraska showed me a lot tonight. But also they did a great job, I felt like, defensively. They didn't foul a lot. Wisconsin only got to the free throw line 12 times. So whenever you have that type of defensive discipline, I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
And Jerel, they also did this basically, and it was sort of a coaching decision here, just going with the hot hand, it feels like at the time. But they also did it when they only got, 2 points and 3 rebounds from Tominega. How much more impressive does that make this win for Nebraska when one of your star players, only has 2 on the night?
It was pretty impressive, John, and that's primarily just because, like you said, Tominaga has been one of the guys that they've leaned on all year, especially for perimeter players and scoring-wise offensively. And, he really couldn't hit the backside of a barn tonight. Eventually just got to a point where, they sat down the stretch of the game there because some of the other guys got it going. But really impressive win. I thought Rink Mass was great. He didn't have the most efficient night. Got off to a pretty slow start, but kind of got it rolling there when the comeback ensued in the second half. But just like Tyler said, C.J. Welcher got it going, man, and he got hot. I think he ended up hitting 5 threes total for the game. And I was really impressed too with Bryce Williams down the stretch, man. I thought he was a really calming force. He made some big shots, hit some big free throws down the stretch of the game. Kind of to get control of the game. I don't think they had their first lead until about 30 seconds left in the game when they went up like 1 to 2 points from the free throws. But impressive win and a really big win because being down 19, the way that Wisconsin traditionally plays, they're a really hard team to beat and come back on from behind because they usually do such a great job of time management and kind of stretching possessions out a little bit longer. But make no mistake about it, they got a little bit rattled tonight, man. Those guys turned the ball over 16 times. I think that was a season high for them as well too for this year. So they got it rocking in that arena a little bit with the Cornhuskers, and Wisconsin wasn't able to stop the bleeding in time.
Yeah, Tyler, you mentioned it. I'm just curious. I mean, because part of it is that's a really hard place to play. They win a lot there. I'm not really gonna penalize Wisconsin very much. For not getting it done. A lot of teams have come in there and not left with a win. For Wisconsin, and you mentioned it, how highly you think of them, they're pretty damn balanced. What's Wisconsin's ceiling, you think, this year?
Well, Wisconsin to me has been, like I just said, a huge surprise. The more I watch them, actually, the more I like them. They have players. I think the Crawl kid, I think he can get it going. He does a lot. He's a great leader. And to me, they're more of a they didn't keep a lot of players from last year, and they've kind of restructured the roster a little bit, but they've shown discipline and they've played well. They've had some big wins in the net. I think I don't know what their net ranking is right here in front of me, but I know they're one of the better teams with the net ranking. But the ceiling when I see them, I think they could Sweet 16. I think that they're a team, even though the Big Ten, they catch a lot of heat for, not having a lot of quality teams outside of Purdue. I think Wisconsin's one of those teams, and I do think they're capable of making a deep tournament run just because I think they're a more disciplined team.
Jerel, from on the Nebraska piece, I mean, this is now, you talk about two of the best wins in college basketball, beating Purdue and now beating Wisconsin tonight. And look, they're going to go to Illinois on Sunday and they'll have a chance. Obviously, they're a little different on the road as most college basketball teams are. What about for Nebraska? What could they do? What kind of noise do you think they can make? They really should have, solidified a bid as of today. What kind of noise do you think they can make in the tournament?
Do you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, I'm just saying for Nebraska, what noise do you think they can make in the tournament?
Oh yeah, I think Nebraska will be a fun team. I think they'll have opportunity for sure. I would think the ceiling will probably be the second weekend. I think that's a team that can get hot and push it to the Sweet 16. Maybe if they get the right layout in the tournament and everything.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be a welcome sight for those fans and obviously Fred Hoiberg. Happy to see that for sure. Okay, as we're while we're on the subject of the Big Ten, Purdue obviously got a big win, controversially, I guess some would even say, yesterday over Northwestern, dwarfed Northwestern's free throw attempts. Tyler, you're big, and if you were on that Northwestern team, you would have to be down there battling with Zach Edey, and he was at the line, and he was living at the line, and a lot of the talk yesterday was how he's officiated and how he's supposed to be guarded or what you can do. So, from your perspective as somebody that would have to do that and take on that assignment, how do you think he's officiated, and how would you guard him if you had that responsibility?
Well, first of all, I don't think the free throw discrepancy is always a good way to judge the refs on, whether they, called the game or officiated the game the right way. There are teams out there that have better defensive discipline and they don't foul as much. So I've never been a big fan, and I don't think that actually the free throws should match up on the box score. Some teams don't foul more than others. Some teams attack the rim more than others. There's different styles that create that outcome. So that's never been a good judgment for me. But Zach Edey does draw more fouls than most people because he's a mismatch every single night he's on the floor, and people can't stop him. So that's going to lead to him getting more free throws and actually getting fouled more. Also, he plays down low, which is a more physical game. So the fouls can happen a lot more. Northwestern, they're guard oriented, so they shoot a lot of outside jump shots. They didn't attack the rim nearly as much as Purdue did, so that's going to prevent them from getting to the free throw line. But I think the way you guard Edey is I think you make him work on both ends. And also it's a team effort. I don't think it's one person's responsibility. I think everybody's got to be aware of where he is, and you can't let him get the ball close to the rim because if the closer he gets that ball to the rim inside, it prevents the double team. And with Edey, you're going to have to double team him just because of his size and what he does close to the rim. So you have to make sure that you get him away from the lane, and you have to be physical with him. But on the offensive end, I think you've got to wear him down. You've got to put him in ball screens and make him work defensively. That way he can wear down and tired more easily, and you would hope that helps you out more.
Jerel, from what you've seen of Purdue, and look, I think last year when you sort of diagnosed, what went wrong, it was really that the guards weren't good enough. They went out and they hit the portal a little bit and brought in Jones. From what you've seen from last year to this one, Braden Smith, how much better is that backcourt, and are they better equipped, in your opinion, to make the run that really they should make?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that they did a great job of getting guys that kind of fit the mold of what they were missing from last year going into this year. So I think Lance Jones was a huge pickup. He gives them a little bit more needed athleticism on the perimeter. Obviously Braden Smith is the point guard, and he does a really good job. But at the end of the day, when you get to the guts of the game, you're going to have you need a guy on the perimeter that can go get a bucket or at least get a viable shot attempt off when they need to. And I think Lance Jones is kind of that guy for them. He gives them a different element. And as well, he's another guy that can stretch the floor and make shots from the outside. And for the most part, he's been playing really, really well early on throughout the course of this season. And for the most part, he's going to be a guy that they lean on down the stretch. So I think that they did the job. I think they got the right pieces. The only thing that kind of scares me about them a little bit is maybe depth. They tend to struggle a little bit when one of those guys doesn't have it going or has a little bit of an off night. Or obviously, the obvious as well, too, if Edey ever gets in foul trouble, which is just bound to happen at some sort of time, because guys like that are just so hard to officiate. I know people get irate about the calls that he gets and, how many times he goes to the free throw line as well, too. But I've seen him on many nights get a tough whistle and pick up 2 or 3 quick early fouls. For the most part, just from being a big guy and being in the wrong spot at the wrong time. So I think it works a little bit both ways, but I definitely think they're a lot more equipped this year. Look, the expectation for Purdue is going to be Final Four this year. I think anything short of that is going to be a little bit of a shortcoming for them.
No question. Tyler, do you agree with that? Do you sort of feel like they are, and look, it was it's one game, so we know sort of the variance of college basketball and the way that tournament is designed. But when you watch them, do you see, this team is going to be able to handle all of that better than they did last year?
Yeah, actually, I think what happened last year is going to prepare them for the tournament this year. I think it's going to show them how important one game can be, how you can quickly lose. And I think it's going to make them come into the tournament this year with a little bit of an edge. And, when you look at Purdue and the teams that they've beat and the expectations and Edey coming back, they are a Final Four team. They can get to the Final Four. Expectations would be the Final Four. That's my expectations for them as well. And I think that I would consider them a contender based off of who they have and what they've done and their strength of schedule.
Yeah, and I would say, we all remember Virginia going down to UMBC in embarrassing fashion, and they come back the very next year and they win it all. So you sort of start to wonder, is that something could history repeat itself with Purdue, bringing back pretty much everybody on that team, I'm starting to kind of think that it could be in the cards. All right, we're going to come back here on Field of 68 After Dark. We're going to get into the disaster that is Memphis. Stick around. Back after this.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 each and every week of the college basketball season. We have a special offer that will be available starting on Tuesday, January 9th and running through Monday, February 12th, the morning after Super Bowl 58. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, in honor of the big game, you can use the bonus code FIELD158 and you'll get $158 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD158. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD158 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create separate accounts in each state. It's easy, it's simple, it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the heart of the college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odd boosts, and my favorite, a nice juicy parlay boost. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Field 158.
All right, welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. We are everywhere. SiriusXM, YouTube. We are on X, Stadium. Obviously, after this hour is up, we're going to be on Stadium with Last Call, answering all your questions. So if you have questions, make sure to get those in the chat, and we will get to them a little bit later. All right, fellas. I think what's happening in Memphis is a cautionary tale. I don't think it's just about Memphis. I don't think it's just about Penny Hardaway, although that is sort of a big part of it. But the Tigers have now, in the span of 17 days, gone from being top 10 in the country in the AP poll to out of the NCAA tournament, with, last I checked, like a 7 to 8% chance of getting an at-large bid, which is kind of unfathomable when you think about the way they started the season. But here we are. Tyler, it's different today than it was when both you guys played. And now guys are entering the transfer portal, and they are very open and honest. And I don't begrudge them this, but they're very open and honest about what they want, which is NIL money. And Memphis is a place, that is going to go after those kinds of guys. They brought in 10 new players, added Naquan Tomlin from Kansas State, in December. And they're, I think, really having a hard time bringing these guys together. I think in Memphis's case, and in any college basketball team's case, too much of one thing, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So Tyler, in terms of bringing that many, and they're good players individually in a vacuum, but how difficult is it when you're asking so many new faces to come together in 1 9-month period and win at a high level?
It takes time, and Villanova is one of those teams as well, where they have a lot of really good players, but they haven't played with each other a lot. And I think what a lot of people are undervaluing is experience, age, and the chance to be coached. I think a lot of kids, if there's something that doesn't go right or they're not getting the NIL deal that they want, they're too quick to leave school. College isn't all about NIL money. And, there's something to be said about being coached by a very good coach, allowing him to coach you, and stop running from, what you think in your mind, why you're not getting the money or why you're not producing or you're not getting the minutes. And I've never been a big fan of kids who just transfer. I think that there needs to be, more value placed on the college basketball experience. And I do think that it doesn't matter what college you're at. I think if you're successful enough, NIL money is going to find you. And, there are different cases. I thought Hunter Dickinson going to Kansas, I thought that was a good move, playing for Bill Self, who's a very good coach. And I'm not knocking Penny. I just think that, the thought of especially college kids just coming to a new team and haven't had a lot of experience together and automatically trying to see the success that they want, I don't think that's feasible. I don't, especially as they're still trying to develop their game and, create the basketball skills that they want. They're too quick to leave. I think there's a lot of value in, experience, especially with my teams. You saw I won it my senior year, and we had talent every single year. It takes a while to build a championship roster. And the one thing it is doing and it is creating is you're seeing older teams from mid-majors make big runs. FAU last year, San Diego State, they're making runs. And look at their roster. They're not young kids. They're old, experienced, strong dudes. And I think that is what is winning now in college versus these five-star recruits that are coming in that haven't had a lot of D1 experience or gone against, bigger, stronger, faster players. And I think that's why these mid-majors with these older guys who have stayed at one spot are having a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, Jerel, this is not a quality issue because you don't beat Clemson, you don't beat Arkansas and Michigan on a neutral, you don't beat Texas A&M on the road if you're not a good team, right? If you don't have talent. But you follow that up with 4 straight losses at home to Rice, blow a 20-point lead to South Florida at home, lose to Tulane and UAB on the road. There's something internal, right? I mean, is there any other explanation?
I mean, it surely seems like it might be something, but it's nothing that to my sight or common knowledge that is just glaring about it as of right now. So I don't kind of want to create problems in their locker room that may or may not be there. But I mean, the fact of the matter is they've lost their last 4 games, and for me, the common denominator has been it's been pretty simple. They've turned the ball over in each one of those 4 losses more than they've had more turnovers than they had assists in all 4 of those games. And that's just home, road, no matter where you play, neutral site. That's sort of a recipe for disaster anyway. So those guys need to kind of clean it up. I think their defense has been lacking a little bit here the last month or so as well. I think that was kind of their calling card and what they hung their hat on. That this is going to be a tougher, older team, an experienced team that was going to buckle down at the end of the day and make nights a living hell for the opponent on the defensive end. And they were at a point where they were kind of just gonna manufacture enough points to win games, and things aren't going that way anymore. Teams are kind of starting to get more accustomed to their style of play, and they're exploiting gaps and weaknesses in their defenses, and they're able to score the ball. So they're kind of getting into these shootout situations, but they're not taking care of the ball. They're making pivotal mistakes down the stretch of basketball games. I think it was the USF game where they had the blown coverage on the inbound play and the guy gets like a wide open run at the rim. That type of stuff can't happen when you got guys. Number one, I guess you could even say, going back to the NIL stuff like you said, John, when you have guys that are getting paid that much and guys that have had the experience that some of these guys have had, have played that much basketball, some of these things are kind of inexcusable. So, but just like going off what Tyler said as well too, look, this type of stuff takes time. I was gonna say that like we're asking a bunch of college kids to do this on shit. It's NBA teams that can't do this. I don't know if Miami's won a game since they traded for Terry Rozier. And that's not to say that it's his fucking fault. It's just, man, that stuff it takes time.
They got one last night. They finally got one.
Yeah, they got one last night. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, that was their first win. But, it's not to say it's anybody's fault. It's just, man, it takes time when you're switching roles and, guys are going to have to be in different spots. You're going to get a new piece to your team. That takes time for pros. So, of course, it's not going to be easy just to throw together and piece together for college guys in a short amount of time.
Yeah, look, again, I think this is bigger than Memphis. I think if you're a college basketball coach at a high level, I think you need to be paying close attention. and be very selective, about what you do with the portal. Because Tyler, I got to tell you, man, when you don't have the continuity and you have adult players, I mean, Memphis is one of the oldest teams in the country, and you don't have like that culture where guys have been there for 3 to 4 years. When you enter into a bout of adversity like they're in, an embarrassing stretch, like who is going to pull them out, right? It's not like you have a guy that's been there that's a star player, for like an RJ Davis, for example. That guy. So how much harder does it get when you're in a situation like this, whether it's Memphis or whoever, and if you have a bunch of transfers, but there's not that sort of built-in, I've been here for 3 years, I'm going to be the man to pull us out of it. How much harder does that challenge become?
It's tough to build culture, especially in the NIL era right now, because guys are just leaving and coming. It's like a revolving door. And, you do make a good point because, if the team has been together for 3 or 4 years and, they're headed in the right direction and they have they have leaders on the team, they have guys who have set a standard of, working hard and getting their work in, and then they know how to buckle down and grind. It's easy to add 1 or 2 pieces or 3 or 4 players to add to that culture because they can easily buy in. It's difficult to have that when you have a roster turnover at the rate that college basketball is having right now with the portal. And we've talked about it last year, how bad the portal is being run. And it's not just college basketball. It seems like, college football is even more of a disaster. And I don't even want to talk about how bad the NCAA has done with handling the portal. But it is hard to build that culture when you have guys leaving and coming as much as they are right now. And that is a great point.
My advice would be to look at the portal as something that you enhance your roster with. As you mentioned, Tyler, like a Hunter Dickinson, like a piece. Like, okay, we need 1 or 2 pieces that are going to take us over. You cannot expect to win at a sustainable high level when you have nothing but for Memphis, as an example, 9-10 new guys. I think there are only 4 programs that have brought in that many players from the portal. St. John's, new coach, West Virginia, new coach, Seton Hall, new coach, and then Memphis. I mean, Penny's been here for 5-6 years, and none of those teams are headed to the NCAA tournament. Not one. So, yeah, I think it's a cautionary tale. And Jerel, listen, this question's on the rundown. I'll just address it. Penny Hardaway's not getting fired for a variety of reasons. I don't even think that should be the conversation right now. He has been to 2 straight NCAA tournaments, but I just wonder if he misses this year, and all these guys are gone, and we have another. I think the question is, where's the trajectory, right? That would sort of be where my question on Memphis is. Where is that arrow pointing right now?
It's a hard question to answer. I think right now, like as far as in season, it's definitely pointing in the wrong direction. They're on a downward hill. But just as far as overall and what Penny's done, I still think he's done a hell of a job in the time he's been there. He's made them competitive, and they've made the tournament for the most part. So he's still trending up right now. This year won't seal his fate one way or another. But I will say this: I think it creates a different set of issues or a problem maybe for coaches. Just hearing you guys talk about that now, because I feel like coaches aren't entitled to that time to build programs anymore with the portal. So it's like, because you see some of these guys get to these places, hit the portal hard, and some of them have success early on. But like you said, is it sustainable? Maybe or maybe not. But you play a dangerous game kind of getting back and doing that year in and year out without actually getting your guys in, creating a culture and developing guys too. So I think it creates a different set of problems for coaches as well too. You don't get as much leniency as time to build up your program the way you would in years past.
I mean, it's just a very simple exercise. Look at the best teams in the country right now, right? And there's going to be a common theme. And the common theme is that they've got their best players, for the most part, are returners. There's continuity. and that's hard to build at a high level, but it's what you have to strive for. All right, it's going to be a hell of a weekend in college basketball. We're going to pick some games, go around the horn when we get back. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark. Back after this.
Big news, guys. I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered with Autograph, a company founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best college hoops content, fan contests, and exclusive rewards like discounted tickets, all for doing the things that diehard fans like you already do, following your favorite team in the news and listening to podcasts just like this one. When Tom, and yes, I am calling him Tom, we're on a first-name basis these days, co-founded Autograph, he had one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. It works like this. You get all of your college hoops content you want in one place. You get articles from your favorite writers, pods from your favorite hosts, contests from your favorite creators, all on the feeds and the sites that you already enjoy. But instead of having to go to all these different places, it all comes to you in one spot, the Autograph Fandom app. But here's the best part. The more content that you consume, the higher you rank in the app. As you consider to level up in status on the app, you can unlock unique rewards curated exclusively for you. So download the free Autograph app in the App Store and use the referral code F68, that's F68, or tap in at the link in the description below or in the podcast app of your choosing to start earning points for doing something as normal as listening to this very podcast. It really is that simple.
All right, welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. Thanks for making us a part of your Thursday night. This weekend is going to be one for the books in college basketball. We have 4 top 10 matchups that we're going to get to in just a little bit. But it's not just about the top 10 matchups. There's just some good-ass games just around the country, even not top 10 games. So, fellas, we're going to go around the way here, and we're going to pick some games and get our stuff on the record. Let's kick it off with Cincinnati at Texas Tech. This is now a Big 12 matchup because Cincinnati is out of the AAC and in the Big 12. Tyler, we'll just start with you. Cincinnati at Texas Tech. These are KenPom projections, -4.
I've got Cincinnati winning this one. I'm a big fan of Victor Locken. I do think Cincinnati has a very dynamic roster. They play hard, and they have guards that can get up and down, and they can really put pressure, especially on Texas Tech, because they can do different things defensively. They can trap, they can press, and I think Wes Miller is one of the best coaches in college basketball. I like what Cincinnati is doing. They've had a lot of close games. They could have easily pulled out some of these close ones and had a much better resume, but they've got some good wins. They're a quality team, and I like Cincinnati for this one.
Yeah, I think this is just to pick the winner, but it's kind of I'm conflicted a little bit because I think I like the 4 with Cincinnati, but I don't know if I would necessarily pick them to win the game. So both teams are going to be coming off a loss. So obviously very desperate situation. I will take Texas Tech at home, but if it was against a spread, I might take the points. But I'm not going to cop out. I'll go Texas Tech gets it done at home. Jerel, where are you on this one?
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, John. I think Texas Tech gets it done at home. Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint will be too much for them. They'll wear them down there, and the Red Raiders pull this one off.
Tyler, you mentioned it real quick while we're on the subject. Cincinnati was taking an absolutely massive leap going from the AAC to the Big 12. And, who the hell knows, right, how that's going to look. But what has made them – I think most people would probably say Cincinnati's been more successful than they expected in their first year. What's made them successful from what you've seen of them?
For one, I think they play extremely hard. And I know a lot of people are going to sit here and criticize me, but Listen, they have a very dynamic roster. They have a lot of different guards. Dede Thomas, he's a very good guard. He can do different things. They can have different lineups. Jizzle James, he's another guard who can get it down, very athletic. And I just think that Victor Locken, too, and I've always said this, he's an underrated big in college basketball. He can pass. He can get his confidence going. And also, he's one of those guys that is capable, if he sees a few shots go in, I think he could have a big scoring night. And he is more of a Euro guy. I think he can, he has the ability to step out and knock it down from outside. So, yeah, I do think Cincinnati has been a big surprise from the outside. But for me, what I've seen from them, I don't think it's that big of a surprise. I was a little bit, I'm always a little bit hesitant, especially, that's why I don't think that Houston was going to have the season they had coming into the Big 12, because I think it's such a new challenge because of what the Big 12 and how difficult it is to go on the road and try to win every single night because it is the toughest conference in basketball right now.
All three of those teams that migrated over from the AAC, UCF beat Kansas and Texas. Cincinnati, we already just talked about, and obviously Houston's picking up where they left off in the AAC. All three of those teams doing much better in the Big 12 than I would have ever guessed. So shout out to those teams, man. That's not an easy thing to do, and they're making it look pretty easy. All right, staying in the Big 12, Iowa State at Baylor. Baylor projected by KenPom -3. Where are you on this one, Tyler?
I'm going Baylor. Jacoby Walter, to me, he's a guy that can really get it going. I think he is a guy that can create his own shot from anywhere on the floor. I love what he's doing. I like Scott Drew, and I know that Iowa State, they've been a little bit of a surprise, but they're a tough team. But I think at Baylor and the way they play defense, I see Baylor pulling this one out. And, yeah, I'd take the spread as well.
Yep, I agree. I mean, obviously this was an Iowa State. It'd be a totally different spread. It'd be a totally different situation. Just on the road, I don't think it's a great spot, though. Iowa State did get it done against TCU. I think Baylor's a little bit better. I have Baylor rated a little bit higher than TCU. So I too, will go with Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears getting it done at home. Jerel, where are you?
Yep, I'm with you guys on this one as well, man. It'll be a clean sweep. I think Baylor gets it done. Obviously, Iowa State is they're a special team, but I think they're a really good team at home, man. I think they're a different team out here on the road, especially in the Big 12, where most of these environments that you're going in, you really feel their home court advantage and their presence on the road. And Baylor's actually one of the teams that I was starting to lose a little bit of faith in there. I thought they were going to be a little bit better than they kind of played this year. They don't have a ton of quality wins. They kind of handle business in games that they were supposed to, but everything wasn't exactly coming together, especially getting here into Big 12 play. So they're coming off a tough loss though in the 3 overtime game against TCU. So they'll in another game after that. So I think Baylor gets it done. They win in a bounce back fashion. Just questions going forward with them though, man. Those guys kind of got to figure things out and get it rolling back like that old school Scott Drew style on the defensive end, I think, and kind of find some more guys to step up from the bench depth standpoint.
Absolutely. Last game in this segment from the Big 12. We're going to go to Texas on the road at TCU. Texas, of course, off that. They played really hard. Probably feel like they should have won the game. Heartbreaker in some ways against Houston. But they are 5-point dogs at TCU. Where are you at on this one, Tyler?
I'm going TCU. And I think being that it's at TCU is going to make a huge difference. But also I think TCU, Emmanuel Miller, he's a guy that can really get it going. He's playing well. He is. I just think that TCU is more of a complete team, and also TCU, they could have had a big-time victory at Kansas. They have the capability of playing with any team in the country when they have it rolling. So I like TCU because I think their upside is much better than Texas, and I think Max Asmus, I think that I'm not really sure how good he's really been a plug-and-play guy. I think that, he's a little bit of a sporadic scorer at sometimes, and it takes, a lot of shots to really get him going at times. So that can be a drawback. But, I like TCU in this.
I'm in complete agreement, and I also just think part of it is TCU feels like to me is playing its best basketball of the season. Obviously, getting it done on the road against Baylor last weekend. You follow that up with a home win, tough one against Texas Tech. I think they're kind of coming into their own. They're kind of peaking right now. And I'm just like you, I'm not really sold on what I'm going to get from Texas. Like, I think I can probably count on Disu and I can probably count on Asmus. I don't necessarily know on Dylan Mitchell. I don't necessarily know on Tyler, especially on the road. I don't know if I can trust him. So I think TCU definitely gets this one done at the house. What do you think, Jerel?
I'm rolling with you guys again. I got TCU winning at home. I will say this. I have enjoyed to see kind of the progression that Texas has made. I thought, like you said, John, I thought they played Houston really tough the other night, man. That was actually a hell of a game. I watched that whole thing start to finish. It was a fun game to watch. And I think they're playing better as they got in the Big 12 play here. But like you said, I think they still have issues outside of Asmus and Disu scoring the ball. And more concerning that I don't think they have a great defensive team. They got a couple of guys they can guard, but a lot of people are actually attacking Asmus on the other end.
Absolutely.
And it's been a little bit of a challenge just for him to hold up his end of the bargain on the defensive end in the Big 12, just playing at such a high level. But I think TCU, man, they're a complete team. Like Tyler spoke to, Emmanuel Miller is really good. But the impressive thing about them is that, they got about 3 or 4 guys in that mix who are averaging right around 10 to 12 points after that. And so they really spread it around. They can hurt you in a variety of ways, and they got a ton of guys that can get out there and give them extended minutes too off the bench. So I like TCU. I think they're a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for early on.
Yeah, just another night in the Big 12, man. You got to get over your heartbreak and go on the road and play another ranked team. That's opportunity. I guess you could look at it like that. All right, We're moving to the Big East. UConn at St. John's. Projection here is UConn -4, Tyler.
UConn's going to win by much more. UConn's, to me, the best team in the country. Tristan Newton, Cam Spencer, Caravan, Klingon. Those guys, that team plays as hard as any team in the country, if not harder. I'm a big fan of Hurley and what he's doing at UConn. I think when they're playing well, they're almost unstoppable. I really like how UConn's – I know that I've said, like, this team has been a big surprise like 4 or 5 times tonight for, a lot of different teams. But this team, for having won the title last year and coming back this year, losing some guys and still – not even missing a beat. UConn's playing unbelievable. So I got UConn rolling big at St. John's.
Yeah, this number is not going to be 4. There's no universe where this is going to be what the actual spread is. I assume it's probably going to be double this. And I made a choice. I made a conscious choice in my life that I'm no longer going to try to step in front of the Huskies train, bro. Just not going to do it. I'm bankrupt. I have to do 50 more of these shows to get even back to even because of me betting against UConn. So no, absolutely not. UConn does roll. They're the best team in the country right now for my money when Klingon's on the floor. I just don't see. I know it's hard to do, but I think they are the most bankable team in terms of winning a championship. Jerel, what do you think?
I'm going UConn as well. I don't think. At the end of the day, I don't really think that. I think the only way that St. John's can beat UConn is if they allow the pressure to get to them and they somehow turn them over. But I think that UConn guards are just too good. I don't think they'll get sped up. I think they'll make them pay on the other end once the pressure comes and get easy baskets out of it, and they'll wear them down. Not to mention it's at the Garden, and it's going to be 75% UConn fans there. But I am really interested in seeing the post-game press conferences from the coaches. That'll be fun to see Hurley and Patino go at it a little bit. They've been sending some shots back and forth through the media for the last month or so. So that, I mean, it'll be fun. And according to Patino, it's the last damn game they'll get in the Garden. They go into the small gym after this, so that should be fun.
Yeah, no, it should be a great atmosphere. All right, we got some other games, including maybe a rivalry game you've heard of. Get to that and more on the other side. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark.
What's going on, guys? Before we get back to the show, I need to let you all know about the Field of 68 Daily, an all-encompassing college basketball newsletter that arrives in your inbox, you guessed it, daily. For less than $1 a week, you'll wake up every morning to more than 1,500 words detailing everything that you need to know to stay up to date on the world of college basketball. From the notable mid-major upsets to the stars that are out injured to the breakout performances that only our team of college basketball junkies watched. The Daily is edited and produced by Mike Miller, who spent more than 2 decades running NBC's digital written content, and is subscribed by more than half of the Division I coaching staffs, the biggest names in college basketball media, and the agents that work as power brokers in the sport. For just $50 for the year, you get access to the same information that the insiders get. And before we get you back to your regularly scheduled Field of 68 content, let me tell you guys about the Field of 68 merch store. Head over to fieldof68.shop for officially branded Field of 68 apparel. Whether you're supporting your favorite team in the student section or from the couch, there is no better way to gear up than the latest from the Field of 68. The best thing I can say about our merch is the quality of the product. Anyone that has ever worn a t-shirt knows how frustrating it is when the neck gets all stretched out and the bottom of the shirt starts looking like the bottom of bell-bottom jeans. And there's nothing worse than a hoodie that loses its snugness that makes it such a perfect way to stay warm during the cold winter weather. Whether you're shopping for yourself or for the college basketball fan in your life, everything you need is at the fieldof68.shop.
All right, welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. I'm John Martin, Tyler Hansbrough, Jerel McNeal on with me tonight. Hey, we're going to do last call on Stadium. So if you got questions about college basketball, make sure to get those in to the chat, and we're going to answer them in the show as soon as this one goes off. Real quick, I was just thinking about it. I'm gonna say UConn alt spread minus 30 this weekend. I'm going that far. I think it's just going to be a squash spot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in Vaulted. Vaulted's an app that allows you to participate in daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. It's the place to store your own predictions forever. And by using the Vaulted Challenge feature, you can prove you're smarter than your friends. All you have to do, go download the Vaulted app spelled VLTED to challenge your friends, store your predictions, and join daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. UConn minus 30. There you go. All right, we have a few more games to get to, fellas, to pick for the weekend. We will start with I'm not sure if this one might be on ESPN Plus. Duke, North Carolina. North Carolina minus 6 there at home. Tyler, what do you think about the matchup, man?
I think it's going to be closer than that, but I do think that obviously the Tar Heels, my team, much different team this year, and Duke had our number last year. I think Filipowski came into the Smith Center and just kind of dominated us, but I think this is a different team. Harrison Ingram is a different issue, and he allows us to spread the court. I think Armando, he's shown, that he can step up in big games and be dominant, and I know he hasn't recently had the games that, he's used to having, but he still can have huge, impactful games. And RJ Davis is a different player this year. He's playing with his confidence. I think him not having to handle the ball and having Elliot Cadeau run the point guard has been dramatically different for his game. The way he impacts the game now, I think he's always a threat, always hunting his shot, and I think his confidence he's playing, with his confidence as high as it's ever been. And I love what he's doing. But Duke is one of those teams that have big athletic guards. And, we've been vulnerable at times, especially against UConn when we played them. They have those big physical guards. And so that's the reason why I think this game's going to be so close. Jared McCain, he's a Duke player who's playing extremely well. Kyle Filipowski, Proctor, those guys can go off. But also, I don't think that a lot of people, for some reason, give Jeremy Roach the credit that he deserves. He's one of those guys that's been consistently having good nights, and he's been a consistently good player for Duke. It's just that they have so much talent that sometimes these guys get overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, I respect your opinion on this one. Nobody knows it better. But I actually like Carolina and the points. Coming off the loss there, I mean, obviously, it's a really easy game to get up for anyway, but I don't know. I'm just not – I think sometimes I find Duke relying a little bit too much on Filipowski. Their guards are sort of coming into their own as the season progresses, but I don't know. I think North Carolina bounces back in a big way with their guys here, so I will go with North Carolina, and I think I'm going to get there with the 6. Jerel, where are you?
I think it'll be first of all, I think it'll be a close game. I don't think that 6 is gonna happen, unless Carolina kind of gets momentum and blows the doors off at the end. But I'm gonna take a left turn here, and I'm gonna go with Duke. I'm gonna go with Duke on the road. Only way that happens is I think Proctor has a big night. I think Proctor plays really, really high level. He has one of those special nights. And he's able to somehow steal a victory at UNC. So I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn. I know Tyler won't like that, but he'll be in the building, so he'll have front row seats for the whole thing.
No doubt. Should be, as always, a ridiculous atmosphere. All right, moving on. Houston at Kansas. I mean, that's another heavyweight bout, right? Houston projected -2 at KenPom over Kansas. Can Houston do this on the road once again, Tyler?
No, they're not going to do it. Nobody wins at Lawrence. I think it's just too tough of an atmosphere to win at, and I think Kansas has been one of those teams where they've just shown up to some games and just laid a goose egg, but they don't do that at home. And I think they have veteran players, Hunter Dickinson, McCullough, Harris. I just think they're too good at home, and I think their crowd has a huge impact. And I know Houston. I like Houston. They've been a much better team than I've given them credit for. And I just don't think that they can win at Lawrence because nobody does.
I'm gonna be interested to see how Hunter Dickinson handles the physical of those Houston bigs. And for those reasons, I'm gonna take Houston. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to handle it. What they do is very, very, very hard to deal with. And they're tough, and they get up in you and make your life a living hell for 40 minutes. They're not overly skilled, but they know exactly how to win games, and they know what they have to do it. So with Kelvin Sampson, man, I'm going to say those bigs are too tough. That team is too tough. A lot of shot making with Cryer, who's been in the Big 12. And Shed, I think they do it on the road. Where are you at, Jerel?
I'm gonna take Kansas, and I don't think it'll be necessarily particularly close. And to be honest, John, I think it's gonna be for the exact opposite reason of what you just said. I anticipate Dickinson will have a big night. And there's no shot at the Houston bigs. Like you said, I got a ton of respect for those guys. I love how hard they play. They're not the biggest guys in the world, but they got good length and activity, and those guys play Kelvin Sampson type of basketball. But I think at the end of the day, just the way that Bill Self kind of has it designed to force feed Dickinson almost every play. He's going to get an opportunity to touch the ball. He'll be able to stretch the floor a little bit and try to step out, but he's going to do a lot of ducking in and things like that. I think he'll get those guys in foul trouble, especially at Kansas, where they usually get a pretty favorable whistle anyway. So I think he'll get them in foul trouble. I think Dickinson has a big game, and I think Kansas kind of runs away with this one.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be a hell of a game. All right, again, heavyweight matchups, man. I mean, it's one of those weekends where you just kind of like carve out the day and just watch college basketball. Tennessee on the road at Kentucky. Both these teams coming off, some unfortunate L's at home. Tennessee to South Carolina, Kentucky in overtime to Florida. I'm like, Coach Cal, my man, when the hell you going to learn to foul up three? Was the championship game in 08 like not enough? Losing overtime again. I mean, stubborn. He's a stubborn man. Tennessee projected -2, Tyler, on the road at Rupp. Do they have what it takes to go in there and pull this off?
No, they don't. Kentucky's going to win this one. I would love for Tennessee to win it, but I do think Tennessee's, I think they have too much, and they're coming off a loss. So, they're going to be, more focused, and they're going to be desperate. So, also Tennessee at times, if Connect isn't scoring, they're going to have, their difficulties finding scoring from somebody else. But Kentucky's one of those teams that they're just too athletic. I think the Bradshaw kid, he challenges everything at the rim, and when he's playing, he makes everything difficult inside. Antonio Reeves can get it going. I just think Kentucky's too athletic for Tennessee, especially at home. I think it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, some injury weirdness with Kentucky. DJ Wagner didn't play, last night against Florida. Like if you told me he was in, I would say Kentucky. So I'll just assume he is, and I will say Kentucky bounces back for all. I just think it's really, really hard to win on the road. Like what Florida did last night should not have happened because you just foul up three. Like that is what the analytics are telling you to do. It's just obvious at this point. So I will take Kentucky at home. Jerel, what do you think?
I'll start by saying this. Outside of, and to be honest, I think it's up there. It's neck and neck. This is probably my most intriguing game. I'll be excited to see this game. This should be a fun game to watch. Tennessee and Kentucky going at it. At Kentucky, like you said, obviously it'll be a very high importance if Kentucky is actually healthy or not, and they have all their guys. That'll make a huge difference. But I am rolling with Tennessee on this one. I think Kentucky is kind of starting to hit some of these growing pains. The bumps and the bruises are catching up with some of their young guys. They've had to go into a few tough environments here and there already in the SEC, and it's not going to get any easier. I remember my freshman year, everybody always talked about like that wall, you know what I mean? So I think they may be kind of approaching it here, running into that wall here, and I think Tennessee gets a big statement win away from home on the road at Kentucky this weekend.
All right, before we head over to Stadium for last call, toast of the night. I mean, if there's any other deserving player, coach, or team besides Nebraska becoming the first team in the last 120 games to come back from down 15 to Wisconsin, I'd love to hear it. But it feels like a universal toast of the night tonight, fellas, to Nebraska ball.
Nebraska ball. Sounds
I'm
good.
going CJ Wilcher. I'm with you. Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because that's historic. I mean, again, you're talking about century stuff. And a Wisconsin team that is very much designed not to give up leads. And you get that done. I know it's at home, but that's one of those wins that gets you for sure on the right side of the bubble. We're going to be heading over to Stadium for last call. Follow us there. For Tyler Hansbrough, for Jerel McNeal, I'm John Martin. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back this weekend.